Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Happy Saturday. It's the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Self-Realization in the Inner Child, Part 18 with Nadine Searle.
Hello.
Elphick.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Lovely to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Yes, so glad that you're here. Can you believe, Nadine, that we have done 18 shows of the Inner Child?
Yeah, and haven't they all been wonderful? We're talking to some wonderful people and just having this great insight, aren't we, into this inner child work. It's been wonderful.
Yes.
Long may it continue.
Yeah, and that's why it's so great that James is with us today, because he's going to share with us how he communicates with his inner child. But I just want to let the audience know, for those of you, first of all, Happy New Year, everyone, and wishing you all the best this year, that all your dreams and magic and everything that you're calling into your life, that it materializes with ease and grace. And I want to let you know, for those of you that are just tuning into the show for the first time, so if you are a practitioner, or if you're a healer, or if you're a coach, or you're a massage therapist, or anyone that is working with the public, and you are meeting people that are beginning this inner child work. So we have, if you go to the YouTube channel, Kornelia Stephanie YouTube, there is a playlist called Self-Realization in the Inner Child. You can have all the shows that you can then add as a resource to give to your client, which I think is really beneficial and helpful. And also you could email me at radio@Kornelia Stephanie, and I will give you all of that content in a Word document so that you can give it as a gift to the clients and the people that you're working with, and they can basically binge watch all of the shows that we've done, 18, and really begin that work with the inner child. Because for me, the reason why I created this show is because when I first began that relationship with listening to my inner child and healing my inner child, it had to do with wounds and deep emotional needs that didn't get met as a child. And those were coming up now so that they can be healed. And there was, in the beginning, it was very painful. It was very painful. And then over the course of the last decade, developed into the most beautiful, magical relationship to have with the inner child, bringing the inner child, integrating the inner child home, and giving the inner child everything that it didn't receive in the early days of when I was a child. So this is a topic that's very near and dear to me, and I'm so glad that James is with us today, because he's going to be sharing today from the perspective of a man, which is also a very big piece to it, because a lot of men, I'm sure James is going to enlighten us with all of that. But before we do, one more thing I want to share, you guys, is I want to thank Susan Axelrod. She's the sponsor of this particular series. So Susan Axelrod, she's also a founder in our app, and the KS Media app. But go check out her YouTube channel, The Confidence Zone, Susan Axelrod, if you're looking to, develop more confidence in your own life with whatever it is that you're creating in your life. So check her out. We thank you, Susan Axelrod, for your generous gift in sponsoring the show, and we appreciate you. And so welcome, Nadine, again, and James. Thank you so much for being with us on this Saturday. How are you two doing today?
Pretty good. Yeah. Excited to be here. A little bit nervous. My inner child is, feeling what's going on here. So a little bit of reassurance for him. But overall, yeah, feeling good. Good to be here. Good to see Nadine again.
Oh, it's lovely to see you, James.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for today because I know James, and I know how beautifully you express yourself and how you talk about your work you've done and that you do and you help people. So I'm very excited for today and what you're going to share with us all.
Yeah, I love it so much. I love that, like right away, the energy that we're in right now, it makes me feel very excited. It makes me feel like, what we're going to be talking about, what we're sharing, what we're creating here, what we're inspiring here is going to, help people. And so that's really a wonderful way to begin the new year and also this day. So James, tell us how you first started listening to your inner child. Like, give us a little bit of a backstory of how that first began for you, and when did you begin listening?
Yeah, thank you, Kornelia. Yeah, it's been fairly recently, maybe 3 years ago. I've been interested in spirituality and therapeutic kind of work for many years, since I was in my late teens, really. And I'd had sort of therapy sessions. I did a lot of meditation, but the connection, I call it more of an embodied connection with my inner child, only really happened 3 years ago through a process called parts work. And that's when I could really feel him actually kind of really hear and have that communication, have that relationship with him through sessions and also through meditations. And it was a beautiful rediscovery. And he was feeling a bit left out, a bit lost. I hadn't been giving him a lot of attention over the years. I'd been sort of bypassing his needs, thinking that, the adult comes first. But over time, it's just become more and more sweet and accessible, really. So last year was a real reunion with him, because I was in a situation. I was in Glastonbury, which perhaps you might have heard of, Kornelia. It's a spiritual town in England known as the heart chakra of the world. And I was in a hut in a garden. I was helping someone with a garden, and it was starting to get a bit chilly. It was October, November time. And a few things had happened in my life. My father died, and I had a few other things happen. So I was in a state of grief, and I felt like I wanted to get away. So I took myself and my inner child off to a warm Greek island to rest. And it's what he'd been wanted for many years. He'd been wanting a place just to play, just to feel free. And I was situated in a house in the middle of an olive grove. It was the middle of a lockdown in Greece, so I couldn't really go out and meet a lot of people. So I just went out into this olive grove and met with my inner child, who I call Jam, actually.
What is it?
Jam.
Jam.
Jam. That's what he wanted to be known as. And he started becoming happier. I think he'd just been lost in this kind of system of schooling and expectations of what he needed to be, and this was his chance just to be natural in the most natural place, which is nature. And over time he became happier, and the adult part of me was able to then offer more and more activities for other people in nature, connecting to themselves, connecting to their inner child. So I just saw this correlation: the happier the child is, the happier the adult is, and vice versa. And it can really help both aspects of us thrive when we're in this relationship. So
yeah, the happier the child, the happier the adult, right?
Yeah.
And because you had said that you were listening first to the adult over all the years, like thinking that it was, that you were just doing the right thing by being an adult and following the adult's leadership. When inner child, you wouldn't have time for that because the adult needs to be first. And I think we can track that back to when we were children. That's how we felt. Many of us felt that way when we were children, that the adults came first and that we really didn't get the attention, because in the era that we grew up in, it's children are supposed to be seen and not heard. Right? And then many times, like for me personally, I had a broken home, so there was only one parent there, and that parent was the income provider, which was my mother. So there was not really any focus or attention on the child. And so so that's where the needs don't become met. And then when we become adults, that's still part of our being. And if we don't make time or bring attention to that part that never received the love or attention, that's when we suffer.
Yeah, and I feel it sounds like it's universal, male, female. It's the same journey, to connect. I think the only difference is that it seems less spoken of in male circles. The journey to meeting the inner child is the same, but perhaps, and I've been part of men's groups, where we speak about many things. We speak about the archetypes, but not very much about our inner children. And I'm just, curious. I'm just starting to get curious of why that is. And I think it may be something to do with men not wanting to look in any way childish or any way childlike or a man child or immature. And that might have been through being told when they're growing up, you need to be a man, you need to grow up. And this has sort of conditioned us to not feel like we want to connect to this aspect of us in case we look childish or we look immature. But I'm finding that it's kind of the opposite. It's that there needs to be an adult there, and there needs to be an adult that's being healed and being present. I need to reparent. So to be a parent to my inner child, I need to be responsible. I need to find that strength.
And I feel like, you being vulnerable, talking about this, the vulnerability, showing that because you are a man, you are also vulnerable. You also have feelings. And all of these things matter. But again, based on our conditioning, we've been trained to be a man, suck it up, get on with it. You don't have time for childish things. Right? Lots of women also in their masculine energy, the providers, the yang, just really always focusing on masculine doing rather than being, and connecting again to nature, which is where we're all being invited to listen to, connect with nature on a daily basis. So you already had the nature thing happening, and now you're connecting with your inner child and developing a beautiful conscious relationship.
Yeah, it feels nature is the most accepting, environment to be in. And I've been leading workshops and retreats to help people access their inner child. And it just feels there is a hesitancy sometimes, but it feels like being in nature, it gives people permission to really go into that. If there's a tree, they can start climbing the tree. They can run down a hill. They can lie down in a meadow and look at the clouds. There's all these activities that somehow are kind of embedded in our memory that come alive when we're in nature. And I just found it the perfect environment for myself to access my inner child, but for others to do it. It doesn't take much encouragement there. Whereas if you're, I don't know, inside with someone and you're talking about it, it's hard to be playful sometimes. It's hard to allow that into the kind of our environment in the home or at work. So just to be out free, it just seems to be the perfect space. So I've found by bringing people on these experiences, it kind of unravels naturally. There's not really much that I need to do apart from allow that space to be there. So I've actually called my business Space to Grow. So it's literally just a space for people to come in to nature or to meet online and just allow themselves to have that space to be all of who they are, and just to allow those parts such as the inner child to really come out and be seen and heard. So yeah, it's a magical but really powerful process.
Yes. Wow. Nadine, do you have anything you want to ask James?
Yeah, I'd love to actually. Where you're saying, and I think it's a term that I got from you, Kornelia, this way shower. You're leading the way, aren't you? And I really love that because, like you say, men, and I don't want to be sexist, I don't want to put anyone in a box, but you're right. They do feel, for whatever reason, they can't show their vulnerability, maybe their weakness. They don't play, maybe. They've got to be responsible. And women too, like you said, definitely. But I feel that when you're saying, you give this opportunity, and I've done stuff with you online in nature, and I've not really been with you in person, but you show the way, and lovely pictures of you climbing a tree. And it just, like you say, gives people permission, doesn't it? And I think from that point of view, my question really would be to you, do you feel that, you've got that? I reach out to men, and it's sometimes a little bit of a block because I'm not a man myself. But do you feel that because you're showing that way, and you're actually showing your vulnerability, that does help men go, oh, I can talk to James because he's like me? Do you find that happens with you, and just showing that way is really how you connect?
I think so, with other men. And it hasn't got to be, it can be quite subtle. It can be like, I just share a little thing about myself, and then they think, oh, I've got permission now to share another little thing about. I find with being with other men, we really like to do things while we talk. We like to walk, we like to drive, we like to work together, we like to do things with our hands, and then that kind of opens up the conversation more than, say, if we're sitting face to face to so
makes all the difference, doesn't it?
And right. I used to work on a farm, and on an organic farm, and the most enriching conversations I've ever had with other men is when we haven't been looking at each other, but we've been working down the rows of the vegetables and just working together and talking, and something kind of unravels with that. So I guess if, we do find it harder to open, but there are kind of ways, even if you're, if you're a woman and you're with a partner, it's just finding the right environment, the right timing, the right, and knowing that men really kind of need they can share their feelings to an extent, but then if it's too much, then they can be like, whoa, and then they close up again.
I think that's a very good point, isn't it? To give them that the right, if you like, to back off as well, because I think sometimes, I know I've been a bit like that. Once people start to open up to me, I have, I dig a bit deeper, and maybe that to just step back and go, you've told me what you told me, I'm grateful for that, and let that be for now. Maybe that's something I can learn from you, which is brilliant. So
yeah. Well, I can see the desire for that. If someone is opening up after a long time, and it's like, wow, this guy's sharing now, he's been closed, it's like, well, tell me more.
Yes.
But a man can find that close, and maybe he wants to go for a walk on his own, and then he may come back and think, she really listened to me, and I'm going to tell her more now. I've had my little break, and I'm going to open up again.
And I love that, because you call your business Space to Grow, and as you're just talking there, it's like you're giving people space emotionally and physically, aren't you? You're giving people space, and that's very, very precious, isn't it? So I really love that. Yeah, really lovely.
I think it's so beautiful. The whole brand, the nature piece, space to grow, the inner child, just the intention that you set with the presence that you hold, providing the space. And then it just naturally happens. It feels soft, it feels welcoming, it feels open, it feels playful. And so I think that's really beautiful. We definitely want to have you later send to me on my email all your links so that we can put them into the YouTube description here. Yeah. But we're also going to be releasing this podcast on Transformation Talk Radio. So we want to be able to have all the links. What you're doing with your nature groups, or when you're doing your events online, how people can get in contact with you. I think the work that you're doing, James, is so, so important. When you were talking, I was listening to you and I thought I was reminded of a relationship that I got in with a man in 2013. And when I had already been doing lots of inner child work on myself, I was already coaching, I was already healing. So I was deep, deep, deep in that work. And so when he came in and he came into my space, suddenly all his inner child wounds and everything started bubbling up and coming up. He was a very dominant masculine man. So it was really interesting because before he was like really, like I said, dominant, very masculine, very in control, very, and then when he came into my space, his little boy, his wounded little boy became present, and suddenly we couldn't have the relationship because he first needed to go take care of that inner child, and I wasn't going to be his healer. I wasn't going to be his coach. I wasn't going to be the one that's going to support him to heal his inner child, because I thought I was coming into the relationship to be with a man that was emotionally already available. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's fascinating. I think it catches a lot of men by surprise. And I think hence the reason that they don't want to go there, because that's a lot. They think they've got it, they've got their stuff together and they're there and they're on their way. But to relate, to have a relationship, then they're going to need to go back. They're going to need to go inward and find that journey. And then once that's found and that's healed, then actually simultaneously, they don't have to lose that dominant part of themselves, right, or that masculine part. It's just knowing that they have to do that journey as well to be initiated into the full masculinity, the full package, So it's like to do both. And I think there's sometimes a misconception that men have either got to be in their feeling stuff all of the time, or in their doing dominant stuff all the time. And I think there's a journey where these weave in together, and if the man can go on that journey and meet both, then that's when the magic happens. That's when the true healing happens.
And that's the complete, isn't it? That's
the integration. It's when
yes, that's a good word. Integration.
It's the integration, because I was looking for a partner. I thought I was getting a partner because he told me that he is ready, he's healed, he's this, he's that, all these things. And so that's what I was expecting to receive in the partnership. And then because of my presence and my energy, it triggered for him the mother wound, right? Where the things that he didn't receive from his mother. So I was, strong, I was present, I was listening, but he didn't receive these. So that's really, I would have been the perfect person to coach him and help him, guide him into this. But when we came together to be in the best relationship known to man, right? So, but that's what it is. And that's why the work that you're doing with men is so important.
I think, I really get what you're saying, Kornelia. And with relationships, obviously they show us things that we've may have not seen before. And
Yeah.
I think for men to heal, in a relationship we can see the stuff that's coming up, but to heal it is to go elsewhere, and being with other men is the perfect place for a man to heal those wounds. I've been part of men's groups for a few years, and when I share with men, there's something there that I can't find in a relationship, healing it within a relationship. So it's really imperative, I think. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, we don't speak a lot about the inner child, so that's something that hopefully we can, I can find more of in the future, or bring it up myself more, because I've been a little bit hesitant, because there's other things that are spoken of that feel, and it's maybe my safety zone is that. But within my work with Space to Grow, I bring both men and women onto these journeys. So it's
good.
Yeah. So
I know that the women, they love that. The women love that you're doing this work, because they want their men. They love their men, and they want their men to be whole and healed and happy with the inner child. Because when the inner child is integrated and brought into the relationship, so much fun can be had, and so much love can be exchanged, because we don't push each other away or project so much onto each other, because we're doing that work. So I think that's wonderful. So you're doing your groups, the journeys that you take, it's for men and women, but then you're also leading men's groups online, or?
No, these are mixed groups as well, and it's really about the bridge. It's about bridging this for me. I am part of men's groups, but within my own work, it's not specifically men. It could be that women are wanting to know more about men and how to relate to men, and how to be vulnerable with men, and how they can encourage men to be vulnerable with them. So I do monthly calls as well that explore all this with men and women. So it's a bit of a mix. I do the nature stuff, and I also do the online work, which can be a session, or I offer group sessions as well. So if you want to, can I just say how to find me, or will that be on?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the best place really I'm most active on is Facebook. So you can see my name here, James Elphick, and you can match the picture with the one on Facebook. That's a great place. And within that, there's my Space to Grow page. And I also have a website, which is www.spacetogrowcorfu.com. So that's www.spacetogrowcorfu.com. Corfu is Corfu, and that's really been when I was in Corfu, but it's relatable to where I am now in the UK.
So we didn't get really into specifics, and I think what I would like to do is have you come back, if you would be available to do that. Have you come back for another show where we can dive a little bit deeper into where would one begin, and from a man's perspective, how does one begin, and just have another conversation with you. And also, I would love for you to share this video on your page then, because so people can hear all of your wonderful work. We're certainly going to be sharing it on our pages as well, and getting the information out there, because honestly, I can't think of anything that's more important right now in 2022 than to pay attention and listen to the inner child, and be available to the inner child work, so that as we're growing our new earth and moving into this next decade, that we can be free from the traumas of our past. That's my vision. That's my goal, to be, so that we can be a society that has healed the wounds of our past, and that we're not living those traumas out anymore. And so that's the work. That's the work. And the more that we enlighten and share our vulnerability, like you're doing so great, and that we're educating and helping each other heal, walking each other home, helping each other grow, That's what this new earth is all about.
Well, thank you, Kornelia, for all you're bringing out there regarding this. It's really, you're so prolific as well. How many videos that you put out there. So it's amazing. Yeah. Amazing energy. So
thank you.
Well needed.
Thank you. It's wonderful. I love doing this. This is definitely a call. I was called to do this. And so it's when you're doing what you love, as you know what that's like, it's just natural. It's easy. So it's wonderful to be able to have the resources and the platforms created to be able to share the messages that that we're here to share. So Nadine, any closing thoughts?
Well, I'd just like to say, yes, I'd love to chat to you more here. I think it would be really beneficial for everyone to hear more about what you've been doing. And I'd also just like to point out that the podcasts that we've done, and including this one and more to come, are on the KS Media Group app. You can actually go there, and they're all on there as well, aren't they? So that is a brilliant resource. There's lots of other things on there as well. Lots of other people and lots of meditations and the journaling that we encourage everyone to do. But everything's on the KS Media Group app as well.
Right. And so just go to the App Store, download the app, put it on your phone, KS Media, MEDIA Group app, download it. And the first place to begin, I would begin with go to the place in the directories that asks you to about the universal question. Every week we put out a new question to engage you into your inner universe. Then begin the journaling process. There's a journal there that also only you have access to, so you could track your progress. And journaling is a favorite healing modality of mine, and is something that definitely has helped me over the years. So that would be a place to get started, and definitely create your free account and join us in our community where we give you full doses of inspiration and support and podcasts and healing to help you live your best life. So James Elphick, it was wonderful to have you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Lovely to be here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody, for listening and tuning in, and we'll see you again next time on Self-Realization and the Inner Child. Remember that if you want to get the full resource, you can email me at radio@korneliastephanie.com, and I will send you the document full on that you can share with people. Okay, everyone, take care. We'll see you next time. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.